I'm not going to speak too loudly because we've arrived on the Isle of Skye and it's very quiet. It's very quiet. Shh, listen. It's cool, isn't it? It's really quiet, apart from Jack walking about. So what I'll do is, since it's so quiet, I'll just spin the camera around, you guys have a look. So this is where we're going to be staying. Is it good, Tandy? Is it good? It's your first holiday? It's first holiday! First holiday, yeah! Yeah! She's so excited she's covered herself in milk from her mouth. Mmm. It's also Jack's first holiday. Jack! Jack! What are you eating? No eating. Jack! You like it? First holiday? Oh yes. He's so excited. He's got no interest in his dad at all. It's very quiet. Just the odd car. So this type of house, this is called a button ben in Scotland, and I don't know the origins of the name, but generally it's like a 2-room house, like a living and a bedroom, and then there's a little bathroom somewhere. But this one's actually quite a bit bigger than other ones I've stayed in. Jack, stay here. Got to keep him under control. There's quite a lot of lambs and sheep and things around here, and he's still not 1 year old, so he's still gets a bit excited, don't you? So what a great view. I mean, up there in the mist, some cracking mountains, so hopefully the cloud will blow away at some point and we'll get a look up there. So let's go in, have a look, see what it's like inside.
I forgot to bring one thing.
Cian's forgot to bring one thing. What did you forget?
Baby changing mat.
Baby changing mat. Forgotten. That's it. No nappy changes for you.
Are you going to change on Mummy and Daddy's bed?
No. You can change it on the floor.
Oh.
Or in the shower, because then you can just spray her with the shower. Anyway, I knew we'd forget something. So this is the lounge space, which is really cosy. It's got open wood ceiling. It's got a log burner. It's also got an upstairs bit, which is like a kind of space for younger kids, like a bunk space, but it's actually a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. I mean, we're not going to be using it. I did try and get the parents to come, but they didn't want to come with us, so it's pretty cool, isn't it? Pretty big. Up this little tiny staircase. Usually these button ben type accommodation are a lot smaller than this. A lot smaller. This one's very generous and super clean and well finished. So you get a proper picture.
Super clean, it's like newly done.
Yeah, Cian says it's like it's just been installed. It's that cool. Down the foot, Jack. Caught. Busted! And then I've got a really nice bedroom. Not sure about the medieval lights though. It reminds me of some Castle Wolfenstein, something like that. You like it? You like it? Hey, oh, you're getting heavy. It's getting very heavy. Okay, and then we've got a bathroom. Which again is really swish, modern, cool, big shower. Noodle shower head. Noodle shower head. Noodle shower head confirmed. Some people will know what that means. But yeah, I mean, open the door and you come out to this, which is great. So, there's only one thing to do when you first arrive in Isle of Skye, and that's to have some whiskey. So, I don't do all the touristy stuff like haggis and, well, I quite like bagpipes. Mainly haggis. No one really eats haggis in Scotland apart from tourists. I'm sorry to tell you all. Well, we do eat it once a year at Burns Night. Oh look, got a little outdoor shed as well. That's a good wood stack. I've been chopping wood for the last 2 weeks and I'm pretty pleased to see someone else has got some nice stacking skills. Looks like Douglas fir. What's in the shed? Let's have a look. Okay, so we've got recycling. Let's have a look. Hold on, I'll open up. Right. Hold on, Tandy. Don't touch the camera. So, okay. So we've got recycling bins. Because Scotland's really hot on its recycling. Got to keep everything separated. That's the key place where I got the keys. We've got a washing machine. Oh, there's a baby high chair. Whoa, yo, baby chair. You've not been in a baby chair yet. Oh my god, you're heavy. I'm gonna have to switch arms. Oh, there we go. It's not so easy trying to vlog when you've got you with your sticky hands. Sticky hands, eh? You want to touch everything now. You're completely soaked in milk. Disgusting. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop filming for a second. I'm going to help unpack a little bit. And I'm mainly going to try and find some whiskey to drink. Okay? Right. I keep doing that because everyone says Scotland's really dull, but it's actually not. The sky is so bright because we're northern hemisphere. So you get a high daylight level all the time. People that do photography, they'll know because it's always bleaching out their photos. Need a lot of filters. But yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed a little bit of peace and quiet. And then maybe in the next video I'll explain why we're actually here. We're not just here on a holiday. We've actually got a little bit of family business to do. So, we'll see. Bye bye. Look at the fire, Jack. It's a good fire. You love a fire, don't you? He loves a fire. Look. You should be a dog that's like in the...
He'd love a fire and a sausage.
Yeah, but not like any sausage. Pink Willy sausage. Pink Willy breakfast sausage. Eh? Bald and bankrupt.
Wine. Baby's in bed.
Yay, baby's in bed. Dog's happy. Dog's happy. Dear, you're falling off. Big fence, eh? There's a tree. There's a tree. So that's the first tree we've seen. Number 1 of 52,000. Okay, so this is the main reason we're on Skye, which is that a few years ago we bought some land on Skye, and today we're inspecting the planting of trees that we organised. So it's quite a long story, and what I'll do is I'll just talk over this section of the video a little bit, explain what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're doing it, and see what you think. So, well, it was about 3-4 years ago. My little company that I was running in London, for the first time, had made a little bit more money than my regular salary. So we were thinking, what we're going to do with this extra bit of money that we've had this year. The sensible thing probably would have been to put it into some kind of savings account or whatever, you know. But we're still pretty young. We like to think we are anyway. There's plenty of time left for saving up money for old age and things like that. So we thought, well, obviously I was thinking, let's buy a car. Oh man, I've always wanted like a nice BMW or a Porsche, something like that. But then obviously quite quickly you realise, it's a total waste of money. So it's so long ago now that I can't actually recollect how we got into the subject, but we started looking at pieces of land around Scotland, and we came across this one in the Highlands, the Isle of Skye, and it was for sale on a regular estate agent's. The seller was a bank, so I don't know any backstory about the lands, but I gather it was once part of a larger farm, which is long since gone, and the land has subsequently been subdivided up. In fact, a big chunk of the land nearby has been built on by the local housing association, building affordable housing for the local community. And this piece seemed to have been left over and was for general sale. So we put in a bid, which was pretty much exactly the amount of money that we had managed to get from the business. We just said, okay, well, that's all we've got available for this chance. So submitted that, but then we also submitted a little letter saying, we're not planning on doing anything funny with the land. We'd already had the idea about planting trees for some reason that had popped up into our heads. Maybe we had came across it because we were thinking about investing in a pension, and then we saw, some people buy trees as their pension. So maybe that idea popped in. So we mentioned that in the letter, we're probably going to plant some trees here. We might even at some point be able to build a house and live here. The good thing about the land was it had so many different options for it. It was kind of very close to the edge of town, touched the edge of a little town on the Isle of Skye, but then also stretched quite far out into an uninhabited kind of very picturesque area. So it had all these options going for it. It's just very attractive investment from a options point of view. So why did we buy it? Well, it's beautiful. Like I say, lots of options. And today we're here because the planting's just been finished. Finished last week, in fact. So we just want to have a walk around and actually see if the trees are there and the fencing's there. No, I knew it would be, but you've always got to see with your own eyes. And the fencing looks great. The planting's there. There's 52,000 trees I've been planting, which is kind of mind-boggling number. They're all little tiny saplings, and they've got 25, 30 years to go until they're anything impressive. So what we're doing today is wandering around. So I'm just talking over this video whilst you see us exploring the land. Really, each one of the mounds. So you'll see the because of the thin nature of the soil build-up on the highlands, it's advisable on the higher parts of the ground to mound the soil. So this scoop the soil and then lay it upside down on top of a fresh piece of soil. So you get this double depth build-up. So that's why you can see these kind of mounds, mini mounds of soil, which each tree is planted into. It just gives the tree the best chance of survival. So that's what you're seeing there. And there's in the lower sections of the land, there's vole guards to stop any little mammals nibbling away. And the big fencing around the entire site, there's kilometres of fencing. Nobody really likes the fencing, no one really wants to do it, but the reason for that is there's just so many wild deer on the highlands that
they love tree saplings, so the fence has to be reasonably high, last until the trees are strong enough to survive being grazed on by deer, because a deer will just walk along and nibble the heads off of 50 trees in a morning, and before you know it, you're replanting 50% of the trees, which is a bit of a pain. So that's the reason for the fencing. But there are walking routes through the land, which I'll probably talk about in a video in a second. And we've made sure we've got access gates for all these routes. Everything's been thought of in advance. And we went for native trees because Scotland needs more native trees, especially Skye. It's very short of native woodlands. It's got a lot of commercial pine tree plantations, which are actually foreign. Most of them are foreign trees, and they're planted so densely that at ground level inside those forests it's pitch black. There's very little or no vegetation at all at ground level, so it doesn't give anything for mammals to graze on or other wildlife. So from an ecological point of view, you really want to be planting native trees if you want to make a real contribution to the environment, unlike these Christmas tree plantations where everything's pretty dull. So that's what we're up to today.
So I think the Marble Line path's just up there. So I think just over the crest of the hill is the old winding house. It's like an old building that used to pull a tram up from the harbour. Used to go to a quarry which was the only marble quarry in the United Kingdom. This is Skye Marble. So the old tramline track route is now a walking path called the Marble Line. Yeah. Happy dog. He's a very happy dog. Yeah. So I think Nick, the winter coming, you replace the dead ones. So we've got a budget of about 7,000 trees.
Okay.
Replace the dead ones. Let's keep going up because I think the marble path's just a bit higher up. Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's okay. Hi, Tandy.
So you're in charge of mobile phone photographs. Get some pictures of the tree for mum and dad. Well, you can see the top of the mountain for the first time since we got here. The clouds have finally lifted. Ben the Coolidge. And you can see down to Broadford, that's the main town of this area. And then beyond, Isle of Skye, which has a brand new distillery. You should check it out. A lot of money being invested. Invested wisely in whiskey. Lots of oak trees here. Well, that's something different.
Alright, so I'm aware that some people watching this might be interested in how the scheme actually works, because I guess it's not that common to most people, the idea of buying land and planting trees, and how does that process actually work? Where do you start? How do you pay for it? Well, it was quite complicated. But I've broken it down into about 7 steps, and whilst you watch us continually roam around for the next 10 minutes, I'll just give you a quick run through on the scheme, and then if there's any questions, you can put them in the comments section below, and I'll try and answer to the best I can. So, step 1, buy the land, obviously, but then what you want to do is get some advice from experts, really. So we're lucky in the UK in that there's a charitable organisation called the Woodland Trust. Now, what they do is sometimes they invest in planting schemes directly, but a lot of the time they assist other people, community organisations who've got an interest in planting, or if you're a farmer and you want to try and plant a mix of trees on your actual arable land, they'll come in and help you out. So I contacted those guys first of all, and we arranged to have a site meeting on the site, which was great. So I travelled up from London to Skye, stayed in a little shed in someone's garden, which is great, perfect. And I met a guy called Donny on site, and Donny was great. So we walked around the site. He dug up maybe 4, 5, 6 trial pits with a spade, just to see what the soil composition was like. Because there's no point in planting trees if the soil's too thin or it's too much peat. There's a lot of peat in the Highlands, which is kind of rotted down ancient forest and woodland. It's compressed and very carbon rich, but it's not very good for planting trees. So we walked around the site. I might even put a little picture up in the video if I get a chance, to show these trial pits underway. And then the good thing about doing them by hand is you don't damage the area. You can then put the soil back down, put the grass back on top, and no one even knows you've been there. So we did that, and the results were positive. It pretty much looked like 90% of the land was plantable, which was great. And Donny gave me a little report, but then the Woodland Trust also goes on to give you some contacts for future, so you might need some forestry agents or nurseries to buy your plants from. They were always on hand, and they did have a fee for that, but they paid 80% of the fee for you for that site visit, and then you paid the last 20%. So it was cost peanuts to start with. So step 2 was I've been doing some research on the land, and every part of land in the Highlands usually has some kind of classification, whether it's a site of special scientific interest or it's a protection area. So you get a lot of protection areas, so it might be an area of natural beauty and it'll have a protection order on it, which limits what you can do there, how you can develop it and things like that. So nearby to this site was there's a lot of eagles. There's a lot of endangered eagle family groups, and the land is just borders where there's a Coolins protection area and also an eagles protection area. So what I did was I made contact with the RSPB, which is the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, and I had another site visit and walk around with their local representative, and we discussed what to do. And we took on board some comments from that, so we staggered the woodland on the upper crest of the hill. We also left some meadow type areas open, so that the birds can get down to the small mammals, that would be living in the grassland. So we took all that on board, which led us to step 3. Step 3 is mapping. So the land is about 5 kilometres long, I think, something like that. About 80 something acres, can't quite recall. We had to get it mapped, so we spent about £1,000 maybe buying some digital mapping with contours of the land, which allowed me to then start drawing up where we want to plant trees and take on board these areas we want to leave open for the birds. There was also other areas that I wanted to leave open which allow for views when you're walking along the footpath. There's a marble line footpath, it's called the marble line, which I'll talk about in the video. The footpath that cuts through the land, which is part of a wider Highland walking route, and we wanted to keep that open obviously and pleasant to walk in. So we got hold of all the mapping information that allows you to then start to draw the proposals. We also, from the RSPB and Donny, they recommended that we get a vegetation survey. So we got this a lady who lives nearby to do a national vegetation classification survey, which involves this expert lady walking around the site and literally identifying the species on the land. and she drew a map where she mapped different species. There was a lower part of the site which is boggy and reedy, and then there's higher parts of the site, and there are a few old scraggy trees that are around the area. So she mapped them all, and it was a real tapestry of species. And the reason why you do that is because you want to actually prove that by planting all these trees, you're going to make the area better. You're not actually going to damage might be a whole load of tiny orchids or rare flora that you might damage by planting the trees. So you have to check that you're actually doing a good thing by planting trees. And it turns out we were. So because of the history of the land being a farm, it's always been cultivated at some parts, and then it been heavily grazed at some parts. So it meant that although it was quite a rich tapestry of variety of vegetation, none of it was rare in any way or highly valuable. So that was great. So what that meant was we could push on. The planting of the trees would be beneficial. That was great. So step 4, we produced a planting layout. So I drew a layout of all the areas to be planted, and I then used that as a basis to go to step 5, which was to engage with a forestry agent. So a forestry agent helps you make the formal application to the Forestry Commission, the Forestry Commission are the people who handle the grants. So the way it works is you're encouraged to plant in Scotland. So if you plant the trees, you pay for it up front, you effectively get the money back. So you won't really make any profit, but you'll get the money that you've spent back. So you put this big application in. You, with your help of your forestry agent, you decide all the species that you want to plant. So if it's native, you don't want just a big swathe of the same trees. So there's a mix of oak and birch and hazel. That mix gets agreed. It changes on the site depending on the ground conditions. So a lot of oak in the really fertile lower parts of the site, for example. And all this gets drawn up by the forestry agent on a special online tool, and a big application form gets put together. It gets submitted. There's a public consultation with the neighbouring landowners. It all goes to the Forestry Commission, and then you wait. You wait for them to come back, and they say whether it's approved or not approved. And if it's approved, you get a contract. So the contract says you're going to plant all these trees, and you're going to put up these fencing, these gates to this mix, and you're going to look after the trees for the next 5 years. You sign here, we sign there, and then that's it. You've got a contract with the Forestry Commission that they agree they will repay you the grant money if you go ahead and do it. And that's it. Then after that, what you do is you go out to tender. You find tree nurseries which have the right mix of trees available, the quantities you need available, which is a bit tricky because there's a variety of trees. You also then go out to tender to get a fencing contractor. So we went out to 3 or 4 fencers. Luckily found a guy who's quite local to the site. He lives on the Isle of Skye. Did all the fencing for us. And then you wait until you get to the planting season, which is kind of October to March, really. And that's when it's wettest because you want the trees to stay wet. I mean, because we're going to be mounding the site, as you can see in the images, we've mounded the site. That kind of relaxes it a little bit because you've got a bit more soil depth to play with. And the trees we were going to order were cellular rather than bare roots. So it means they come with a little tiny plug of soil on them, which gives them a bit more protection. And then you go ahead, you get all these guys to do their work, to plant it, install it. You try not let coronavirus delay you too much, although it did. That's why we're here in summer, not when you plant trees. And that brings us to today. So we're here to see the trees planted. We're going to be putting in our claim for the money back shortly in the next week or so. But if you've got any questions about this whole process, let me know and I'll try and answer the questions. If I don't know, I will definitely know someone who can help you out. And the more trees we plant in Scotland, the better. We really need to get back our native woodlands, which at some point back in the days when it was all the clans that ran over the Highlands would have been covered in native trees, absolutely covered.
So we started at the midpoint and walked this way, so we're going to walk all the way back to the other end where the views get pretty cool. So I'll maybe switch off and save some battery and then switch it back on when we get to some new ground. Or if we can find this railway shed that's here somewhere, camouflaged, I'll speak to them. It's quite hard to tie someone else's shoelace, isn't it?
Yes, different
It's
direction.
weird. Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Baby sleep.
Good. She's sleeping. We've found it. We've found the old winching house which used to pull the trains up from the harbour. It was very hard to find actually. It's hiding in amongst these ancient yew trees. Cian likes to call it the pee-pee house. Don't you? The pee-pee house. Why is it called that?
Because I peed it.
Because I pee there. Well, I take it back, it's not yew trees, it's jaggy gorse. Jaggy bushes. Oh, you jaggy mother. Da 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 da. Quite fancy putting a roof on it. Some shelves, whiskey bottles, gigantic padlock. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Da-da-da. So there must have been some kind of machine in here. And this is, you can just see the path line. It goes down to the harbour. I think somewhere there's a hole. So that's us, we're at the furthest south part of the land. Like this gate here, that's the way out. You can see the fence line goes quite high up this hill up here, look. Cut! You can go in front.
It's not cold. Warm. I mean, it's not warm, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not cold.
Drink some.
Okay?
Drink some.
Only if I
It's not Daisy. You're not playing Daisy. Gonna get a wet bum. Is it good?
fresh. Excellent, yeah.
Let me see your bum. Is it wet? It's okay. Just a wee bit. On you go. No, it looks okay. One wee dot.
Okay, so that's us. We've been over all the land, top to bottom. We did actually come back the next day after this day to have another look at another section which is on the other side of the road, but I'm not going to show you that because I'm sure you've seen enough fields and things. So now that we've done what we came up here to do, we're going to enjoy going and seeing some sights around Skye before we have to go back in a couple of days. Enjoy.
So, the sun's out, so we're just going to a little afternoon jaunt down to Talisker Bay, which is obviously where the whiskey's name comes from, the little hamlet of Talisker, and we're heading just towards the coast where there's a little beach, but it's actually a really nice path to walk along. These big mountains, and look at that one, it's enormous. Some really friendly locals as well, having a chat with us on the way past. It's great. On you go. Always close the gates. Sheep.
They're not that ugly compared with.
Sien's got a conspiracy theory that sheep on the Isle of Skye are much better looking than regular sheep. Oh, it's a cat. Didn't expect to see a cat randomly in the Highlands. Hiya, cat. Are you a wild polecat? Scottish polecat? I don't think so. We're just a mouse hunter. Wow, this looks amazing. So I'll do, I'll maybe stop filming now, start filming when we get a bit closer to the beach. Okay, we've made it to the beach. It's the first time Jack meets a cow. Yeah, stay. No. Bad dogs bark at children, don't they? Where are we, Sien?
We are at Skye,
Where exactly?
Talisker Beach.
Close. Talisker Bay.
Talisker Bay and beach is the same.
Yeah, it's the same.
So next station is Talisker Whiskey Shop.
Daddy doesn't need any more whiskey.
Wow.
Daddy had enough whiskey last night.
Oh, mommy need Costa coffee.
Don't know why you're complaining, but yeah. Sunbathing on a nice beach.
Wait, the waterfall is stopping.
Look at these peacocks. Oh yay! Hello Highland peacocks. Where are you going? Where are you going? Hey? Must be bedtime. Bye bye.
Right. Stay. Sit.
Oh, go on, keep going. Where are we?
Isle of Skye.
Where exactly? Isle of Skye.
Do you know what's the name of
We're
this
in
lighthouse?
Europe.
A lighthouse in Isle of Skye.
What's it called?
I don't know.
She doesn't know. She
What's the
doesn't
name?
know.
Cullen Lighthouse.
No, Coolins, that's the mountains on Skye.
And
Nice try.
Mustard Lighthouse.
Mustard, because it's been painted mustard.
Uh-huh.
No. We are at Neast Point.
Nice Point.
Neast Point Lighthouse. Here it is.
It's raining now, but still amazing.
Yeah, it started raining. But that doesn't matter. Doesn't make any difference.
And we have a sleeping baby.
Yeah, and the baby's asleep. Here somewhere. Are you asleep? Silence.
Tandy.
See, asleep or dead?
Tandy.
Asleep?
Asleep.
Good. Wouldn't say her name then. So there's more cliffs away in the distance there, but there's kind of rolling fog and rain and mist.
It's the
All the parts of
lighthouse.
Scottish summer.
It's a lighthouse, a museum.
Yeah, I think you can visit the lighthouse.
Doesn't look busy there.
It's probably not open yet because of the coronavirus.
Oi.
Oi, oi, oi!
We've got a visitor.
We've got a girlfriend for you, Jack.
Oi, oi, Jack.
Let me just have a good zoom in.
They hurt you.
Zoom
That's
in
why
to the
they are
girlfriend.
partner. It's not girlfriend, it's rum.
What about them, Jack? Eh? They do you? Eh? Look at the legs on that. They look quite horny as well. Right. Should we walk along a little bit further?
Yeah, okay.
Walk along here a little bit. Okay. Let's do it. Oi, 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 boggy, boggy, boggy. Boggy, boggy, boggy.
Jack, you wait. Chase.
Should follow Daddy. Daddy knows the path. I'm going this way. Going this way. I'm an expert at finding my way through bogs. You learn that in your childhood. Around here. There it is. Bye bye, sheep. Bye bye. Look at these nutters up the top. Zoom. Zoom. Jump!
They're still looking at us.
I know. I told you. It's Jack's girlfriends for life now. Just need to be careful I don't fall off the cliff here. With the baby. No, we're quite far away. least 10 metres of safety there. It's not like the White Cliffs of Dover, these aren't falling to bits either. Oh, I think I can see some kind of World War II gun emplacement away in the mist. I'll see if I can zoom in. Using the zoom a lot here. You see that? Looks like a gun emplacement.
Let's go there.
If you want, okay. We can always just cut back sideways, back to the car. Across the hill. You can see some mountains, islands, there'll be islands. So probably out on the horizon that'll be Barra, the Outer Hebrides. See them?
Barra the crows.
Yeah, you can see them. I mean, that's far away. You want to swim it? You swim it, I'll get the plane, land on the beach.
Jack, go!
Okay, right, let's head for the World War II pillbox.
Be okay, baby.
Right, so we're looking for Nazis now. You see any? No.
There's two there.
Oh yes, so there is. Nazis! Oh, I think you heard me.
Look at us.
Ooh, this is the mystical fluffy plant that's been confusing us. Is it wool?
It's a meme fur. Meme
Getting a phone
hay.
call here.
Why you got a signal in the middle of nowhere? It's good.
Oh, it's John Longmuir fencing. I'll speak to you later, John. I'm on holiday, okay?
You got signal here. It's good.
Why?
Might as well leave here.
It's because when the Nazis are coming, you need to pick up your mobile phone and go. Because there used to be a huge navy base at the top of Scotland, so that's why this is here. It wouldn't have been guns, it'd just be like a lookout. So we're here with binoculars, seeing if there's any boats go up this pass between the Outer and Inner Hebrides. I'm guessing. I'm just guessing at all this stuff. Wikipedia will sort you out. At least there's a tiny bit of wind up here. Oh look, it's even got a drain.
Shut! No!
Always pulling the lead.
No.
So I guess this is for, or was, for hauling supplies up and down. You'd lower the supplies down to that platform down there and then take it by horse or quad bike, whatever it was. The machine looks like it's, yeah, it might still be working. There's some new plastic on it. No. No, I think it's, yeah, it's had its day. I guess they can slide things down it, but then not get them back up. Come on, let's go explore. It's a bit windy. It's great though. It's a pretty nice hidden little loch. Up there's the Korang walk, which is quite famous. Still trying to get Jack to like swimming, but he's still not keen. Jack, come on, come on, go in the water. Come on, come on, on you go, on you go. On you go, you big chicken, on you go. Who's a good boy, learning to go in the water? Who's a good boy? That's a good boy. Who's a brave boy? That's it, you fetch it. Tandoyoy. Tandoyoy, are you in there? Oh, your eyes are getting covered by your woolly hat. Oh, hello. Hello, hello, hello.
Tandy. Hi.
Hello.
You warm enough? Yes, you're warm enough. And nice and warm in there. Oh, yeah. Look, like guy.
Close.
Like I.
Lang.
Like I.
Well, I think the first G might be silent, so it'd probably be
Like I.
Lanig. That's my guess. That sounds good. Sounds Scottish. Loch Lanig.
Ah!
Eh.
Eating shit.
No eating. No eating, Jack. Go fetch. Ready, go fetch. The naked baby.
Oh yeah. Smell good, good, baby.
Smell good. More lotion.
Baby. Smell good. Smell good, baby.
I think because the camera's got a red dot, she stares at it.
Let me get it. I'm going to massage. Tummy massage. massage, massage, massage. Oh, Joan, 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 Joan. Oh,
What's going on in here? Oh,
babysitter, arrive.
is that my child? I don't think so. I don't think so. You can go back. You can go back. You can stay there. Okay. Bye bye.
What's the wee funny bit for?
Microphone like a wind
Alright.
muffler or something.
Oh, your dad's not got one of them, has he? No. What's he doing? What's he doing? She's excited.
What? You want to touch it? Ooh. Give me that.
Is that your new one?
Aye.
What make is it?
It's a Sony.
Oh, aye. Sony something or other.
Yeah. Sien's got you a present for the caravan.
From Skye.
Oh,
That's a bit fragile,
exciting.
so
Oh, is it? Right,
careful.
okay. Right, Sandy, you going to help? Whoa. Right, you got her? Is there any shops open?
Not many.
Not many.
The wee gift shop in Dunoon's never seen it open
We,
yet.
we couldn't afford to be fussy. We couldn't afford to be fussy. We had to do
Alright,
it.
okay. A Highland poo? No.
There you got it.
I've seen the logo there.
Ah, a sheep.
That's a Highland
No.
cool.
That's a Highland poo, so it is. I thought it was a sheep, yeah. Oh, lovely. That's nice.
Highland cow.
That's very nice, thank you.
I don't think we actually saw a Highland cow on Skye, did we? This time?
Yeah, we saw what people have been taking pictures. Stop
That
by
was that Skye?
in Skye, yeah,
It's a
Skye.
cow, look, cow.
Oh yeah, there was one Highland cow and there was a massive people around it.
What's that? What does a cow say?
Cow say, lick the sip.
Says, I could have a chew at that. You could have a chew at that.
Give it to me. I put it in my mouth. Alright, so it's sad times, home time. This is us, we're actually 3/4 of the way back home and we've managed to just have a quick meet up with Tandy's grandparents at the Rest and Be Thankful, which is a kind of famous stopping spot for people travelling into the Highlands because you can stop. Fantastic view. It's always famous because it's one of the first roads to close in winter because of the snow or a landslide. It's you kind of first part of real rural Highlands when you leave Loch Lomond and Glasgow. So Mum and Dad were actually holidaying nearby, so we've just kind of met up with them, have a little car picnic and give them a chance to play with Tandy, and then that's us, we're driving home.